right, stage 3 of Jean Piaget's cognitive development, stages of cognitive development. We're going to see here that this thinking starts to really develop here at this age, and it starts to become more like adults. So let's jump right into it. All right, stage 3. We already had pre-operational, and then before that, sensory motor. Now we have what's called concrete operational stage, and you got that concrete, like hard, and that's the idea. They can, like, it's starting to have some logical thinking that's firm. This is ages 7 through 11, so we're talking like upper elementary school age. And let's look at the type of thinking that now can occur for the typical 7 to 11-year-old. One, they're sorting objects in order, or classifying things. So that's something that they can start doing. So it's a little higher level of thinking, sorting objects in order or classifying. Another type of reasoning that they develop, so they're starting to develop some type of logical thinking. They have inductive reasoning. And inductive reasoning is seeing conclusions, like you make a bunch of conclusions, and then from that you can make a generalization. So you see some things, you have some experiences, and then you can make some general conclusions. Now, these conclusions might not be, or these generalizations might not be true, because you have a limited scope and experience in your life. However, they're able to start to make some generalizations. Let's have a psychiatrist talk about what this means.
The other type of reasoning is inductive reasoning. And this is when we draw general conclusions from specific information. Now, this is different than deductive reasoning, where we can make certain and necessary correct conclusions. With inductive reasoning, we can only rely on highly likely outcomes. For example, you may say that all cats you've known have been friendly. Therefore, all cats are friendly. And that may be the case for your experiences. But for me, I've known some friendly cats, but I was also attacked by a pack of feral cats when I was a little girl. Therefore, your inductive reasoning is different than my inductive reasoning, and we can't be sure that we've come to the correct conclusion.
All right, so deductive reasoning is a much higher level, where you can actually come to a correct conclusion. But inductive is not necessarily correct. Like, I met some good cats, all cats must be good. Yeah, but you didn't meet many cats. There are some cats that are bad. That's the point she's making. So inductive, you can make some generalizations, but they're not necessarily right. All right, conservation tasks. Remember, that's the last one, where you're pouring things into different containers, or you're changing the size of them. Yet in reality, nothing has changed, but the child doesn't realize that. Well, now they can understand conservation tasks, and they get that logical thinking that shape doesn't change quantity, or what you put it in doesn't change quantity. So that's what's going to happen here. So let's watch a video clip here, where first we're going to see a girl who still doesn't get it, and then we're going to see a girl who gets it. Watch the difference here.
Can you look at these two glasses? Do you think that they have the same amount of juice? You think they have the same? Okay.
She's like, yes.
Now we're going to pour this juice into this glass.
So this is a girl who's in stage 2.
Now, do you think that this glass has more juice, this glass has more juice, or do you think that they have the same amount?
That one has more.
This one has more, and why do you think that this one has more?
Because it's taller.
Taller, yes. Okay, now watch the second girl, and watch what happens here.
Do you think there's the same amount of juice in this glass as there is in that glass?
She's really checking it.
They're even? Okay.
Even.
So we're going to take the juice from this glass and pour it into this one right here. Okay, so now we're going to look at this glass and that one. So do you think that there's more juice in this glass?
Watch.
More juice in this glass, or do you think that they have the same amount?
Same amount.
Okay, why do you think that they have the same amount?
Just because this is skinny doesn't mean it's not the same amount. It has the same amount of juice in it, but this one is just wider and this one's skinnier, but they have the same amount of juice in it.
So boom. So you see how she could explain, like, oh, they have the same amount. It's just that one is thinner and one's wider. And so now she has the ability to think through conservation tasks, through Piaget's conservation tasks. All right, good. Another context of logical thinking that we start to see here, another example of logical thinking is reversibility. Like they can start to understand that like 3 plus 5 equals 8 is then 8 minus 5 is 3. Like there's a reversibility aspect to this. All right, awesome. So reversibility is something they understand. Um, which goes along with that, reverse actions. If you want to reverse actions by doing the exact opposite. So if you did one thing to cause something to happen, you can reverse it by going back and doing the exact opposite. So again, there's like this logical aspect of it. There's some very concrete thinking ability happening. Also, when they start to see that thoughts and feelings are unique, thoughts and feelings are unique and they can put themselves in other shoes. Interestingly, toward the age 11 is actually when bullying starts happening. So despite the fact that they're able to know that other people are different, the knowing that people are different is actually a way to start making fun of people, unfortunately, for a lot of young kids, rather than the idea of tolerance. And we have to work really hard at teaching students that being different is okay, but they have the ability, they do have the ability at this age to understand that feelings are unique, thoughts are unique, and they can put themselves in other people's shoes. There's a task that Piaget has that I'm going to show you in the next slide. And you can see here, I'm only going to show you a little bit of this, but they have a scene here, and you have the woman looking from one perspective on this scene, the boy looking at from the side, a different perspective, and then they have the doll over here on the left looking at this scene. And the idea is that can the child understand that the woman and the doll have a different perspective on the scene? They're looking at the same scene, but they have a different perspective. And that's the point of this exercise. So watch the conclusion that he comes to here.
This one is from the side. Which side? Do you know which side? That side. Good job. So this one shows a picture. There's a house in there too, right? So she sees the house and the cross before she sees this one. Yeah? I think you're right. Good job.
Okay,
So he ends up figuring out like which perspective the doll had. And because he can see the different perspectives, that kind of shows like that's a thinking ability. That's a type of logical thinking. All right. And then lastly, what can they not still do? Well, at this age, they still can't really think abstractly. And that's the idea of success, the idea of failure, the idea of hate. These are abstract terms, and they don't necessarily fully understand that. That's going to come in the next stage. All right, so that fulfills concrete operational stage. A lot more logical thinking, different types of thinking tasks. So keep practicing because this is going to get harder every time we do a stage. It gets harder to sort them. So you need to do your sort because you should be able to sort objects and classify them. So you keep doing that. Great.